Huh? Okay, this is literally the epitome of heal botting. You are charging in a full heal when the round just started, and you could be spamming. You always want to be doing something productive, and this is not that. You healed him for 5 HP with an 80 charged heal. So before we get into the review, I just wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit about Lifeweaver and some tips and tricks that I have for this hero. So as you might already notice, my abilities might look a little bit different than yours. And this is kind of the control scheme that I recommend. Now, there's no problem with using the default control scheme that you have right now in Overwatch, but there is an added benefit to having the legacy control scheme, and I'll go ahead and show you how to do this. So right over here, when you get to controls, you have to come here to change hero, select Lifeweaver, and you want to tick this use legacy control scheme. This will default to off, but you want to have this on. And what this is going to do is it's going to change everything about the hero. All this allows you to do is use your double jump ability on the ground. So as you can see now, it's bound to my shift. So instead of double jumping spacebar, in order to use this ability, I can now just press shift while being on the ground. The added bonus to this is that I can do this with 1 button press instead of 2. So this really only matters once players start being good and you're trying to be extremely efficient. And that extra button press may be the difference between life and death. So I wouldn't worry about that too much, but it's something that I recommend to higher players. If you do decide to do this, this is going to change everything, as I said, about the way these binds work. So here I turned on my mouse and keyboard overlay, and you can kind of see how I play this hero is if I heal, it's left click. If I want to damage, I press right click and it switches to my thorns, left click to shoot. If I want to heal, right click, and then I heal. And this is how I switch between doing damage and healing on this hero. And again, that's because of the legacy variation. It removes some of the control binds from the default binds, and you have to kind of toy with it to make it work. But this is the best thing that I found that works for me. So here are what my binds look like. Again, remember this is legacy variation. So the only thing to note here is this 2 is my E. I use the bind 2 for everything. So you could just substitute E in here instead of 2. That's fine. Secondary fire is just your pedal. That's all it is. The last thing that I want to recommend, even if you use the default Overwatch control scheme and do not use the legacy variation, at the very minimum, your life grip, I recommend adding a secondary bind here to scroll down. And the reason for that is because sometimes when I'm trying to grip somebody, maybe I'm not directly on them in the right spot. And if I press the button, maybe I don't get the grip right away. Maybe there's a bit of input latency where something just happens and I don't get the grip off. Maybe they're going very quickly through my camera and I need to time my grip exactly right to pull them. Well, instead of just pressing a button once and spamming it over and over and over, I just scroll down.
Safety in numbers.
And then I've got multiple inputs in various different frames. So the odds of me actually activating that grip are a lot more likely. So the last thing I would recommend is making sure that you have the pedal cancels or interact cancels pedal platform turned on. And what this is going to do is it's going to give you 2 different buttons for placing your pedal and canceling it. I find this to be a lot easier, at least mentally, so that way instead of having 1 button that does 2 things, places a pedal and cancels one, I have 2 buttons for each of those. So when I press my E button, or my 2 in this case, but it'll be E for you. When I press my E, I know that places my pedal, and when I interact, I know that cancels my pedal, regardless of what's going on. When you push pedal, or okay, let's put a pedal down. If we jump, just as the petal is about to reach its maximum height, you get a little bit of a boost. Oh, there we go. Okay. But you see how you get this like little extra boost right at the end of it. You can use this as like an extra bit of maneuverability, an extra dodge. You can even get up to higher high grounds with this. I'm going to put on my mouse and keyboard overlay so you can kind of see when I'm pressing spacebar. So it's like a little bit before you get to the very top. I'd recommend doing that pretty much every time, unless you are dodging like a Widowmaker, or obviously if you want to stay on the pedal. So those are my main tips for Lifeweaver and settings, controls. So let's get back to the VOD. So today we're going to be looking at a mid-gold Lifeweaver. The main things you have to worry about as a Lifeweaver is obviously number one is going to be your pull. So pretty much all of Lifeweaver's utility is his pull. He has some various different sort of things with his pedal and getting people into high ground that normally wouldn't be able to get there. But 99% of the value of Lifeweaver comes from having good pulls or not. So that's pretty much going to dictate whether you know if you're doing well or not and what you should be looking out for. Really, it comes down to your pulls. Are you staying alive and are you getting good pulls? Okay. You are charging your heals, which is good. That's what you want to be doing. So this sort of high ground approach, this is for Numbani just in general. This high ground is very hard to deal with if you have defenders up here. So it's very common that you will see not tanks like Roadhog on this map. You'll see tanks like Ball, like Diva, like Winston, things that can get up to this high ground. Or you'll see heroes like Symmetra that TP their team into the high ground. Or this is actually a pretty good use case for Lifeweaver's pedal. So what I would do if I were you is I would be in team chat and I'd say, hey, everybody, come over here. I'm going to pedal. Let's walk on it. 3, 2, 1. And then you push them up and everybody fights up here. And that's going to help your engage a lot. Because right now, if I could find out where you are, okay, it's very hard for your team to do anything because you don't have good heroes for contesting this high ground. Now, that means that either you need to have some utility for contesting the high ground, like pedal, or if your team does not want to coordinate with you and you can't get them to pedal up there, then try to get them to route some other way. But walking into this area on Numbani without high ground contesting is just asking for death. Okay. So I like this pathing move because your Cassidy was here without support and your Moira was there with the Hog and the Bastion. If you were the solo main healer here, I would not have split up. So just something to keep in mind there. Okay. So I think you were trying to pull the Bastion, which would have been fine. I don't think that you necessarily need to pull him, but it's also, you just killed 2, the fight, everybody's healthy, like, I won't nitpick it too much, but I'd say you probably, and I mean, I guess the Bastion lived and did fine without the pull, so you know you didn't have to pull him there. But this is all fine. I like that you are using the pedal for high ground. I would be a little cautious about this angle specifically just because it's very easy to get, like any sort of long range damage that they have it's really easy to hit you here. So maybe I'd prefer if you pedaled like over here. So that way there isn't as long of a sight line down here. Because Lifeweaver does like to spam, but he doesn't necessarily like extremely long range angles. He kind of likes the mid range, so that you can aim your shots a little bit better, because there's a lot of spread. So you kind of want to consolidate all of his shots to be about head level, so you're getting headshots. So you kind of want that like medium range sweet spot. Okay. So I don't know if you griefed this hog or not, but this is actually something I wanted to talk about at the beginning and totally forgot. When you load into the screen and you are sitting in spawn for the first 40 seconds, you need to look at your comp and you need to think, does my pool grief anybody? Like, are there certain times where I just should not pull people, and who can live a little bit longer than I think they can? So I would be pretty much almost never pulling the Roadhog unless he just had used his heal for like 3 seconds and is completely out of position. Roadhog loves to hook people out of position and stick on them. So if you pull him during his hook, you can potentially grief a kill. And Roadhog is very self-sustaining. So I typically really don't have to worry about keeping track of what the Roadhog's doing. He kind of just does his own thing and then he gets value or he doesn't. So that's something you do need to think about. Also, the one other thing I would think about is if there's anybody that really likes to use your high ground, because most of the time your pedal is going to be used for you, but occasionally you can use it for other people. So stuff like Cassidy's ult. If Cassidy ults, I'd be thinking, oh, I can throw a pedal for him, give him some high ground, and then, you know, things can happen with that. Just a small tidbit there as well. Okay, that was a good pull. Your Moira was wildly out of position. You don't know if she has fade or not. That was good.
My ultimate is ready. Can't have it getting worse.
Okay, so now you need to start thinking about how you're going to use tree and looking at their comp, what they got going on. There's not really anything that you're using tree specifically for. So I'm probably just going to plop this down next team fight. Or you can use it to body block for somebody in case you don't have your pull. So something I'd be thinking about is you could use this for Baptiste's window. In case you've already used your pull on somebody else, you can plop a tree in front of somebody. Gives them a lot of extra HP. You kind of use it as a shield and just save them from that. That's like super niche though, so I wouldn't put too much weight into that, but just think about that as an option. The couple things I'm seeing is I think you definitely tend to heal a little bit too much. So like right now, these past few seconds, everybody's pretty much full HP. There is a Hanzo, so you have to worry about where the Hanzo is. But you can start looking to put some pressure on some people. So we heard the Hanzo high ground. So you can potentially like start spamming this angle. Just like throw some damage at the Alari. Do something, but just healing here when everybody's full HP is you're essentially doing nothing. For like a few heals there.
Life protects life.
I probably wouldn't have treed that because nobody was really in danger there.
Life protects life.
Like everybody's fine. The hog got hit after you already decided to put the tree down. The hog just got headshot by the Hanzo is what happens, why he lost so much HP. But when you actually decided to put the tree down, everybody's full HP. You get a large burst of healing when you put that tree down. So you want like somebody to be like half HP or something. Use it like mid-fight, not at the beginning. Okay, I'll excuse it because the Bastion was in the middle of the ult for a little bit. And then you probably had decided that you wanted to grip him. And then he walked out and he was fine. And then you pulled him, so.
You're better off with me.
But at the moment you pulled him, he didn't need to be pulled.
My tree's gone. Find cover.
Okay, don't fight this. Do not fight that. Okay. So he one-shots you, and it takes like 10 seconds for you to kill him at that sort of range. In addition, he has high ground, so he kind of controls this engagement. So like if he doesn't want to shoot you, he can just back up. The moment his bow's charged, he's going to peek again, fire his shot, back up. That's an awful fight for you. You definitely do not want to go into that willingly. I'd be hiding from that, actually. Oh my. This is crazy. Okay, I definitely would have pulled that. So I think you probably didn't because he was in his ult, and you probably didn't want to get flamed for pulling him while he was in his ult. I can imagine that's happened to you a lot at lower ranks.
I'm moving the payload.
But
Join me.
this ult from this hog is awful. And one of the things I actually really like about playing Lifeweaver is I get to make stupid teammates be less dumb. So if you look at this hog, he's looking at 5 people right now. So the whole enemy team, his ult is getting defense matrixed, so he is doing nothing. He's basically a sitting duck in front of 5 people saying, shoot me please. And the rest of his team is nowhere to be found, not supporting him. So as soon as Hog does this, I'm just gripping him. Like, what are you doing, silly boy? Come back. That was naughty. I'd probably give him a little bit of time because it's not like this guy's going to get one shot. He can get bursted very quickly with Baptiste Hanzo. So as soon as I see him like below half HP, between like half HP and a third, and he's that far overextended, just grip him. And it doesn't matter what he's... If he starts flaming you, mute him. Because this guy is just being very, very dumb. Okay, pedal up, pedal up, pedal up. Okay, that's fine too. So my initial reaction here would be pedal, and I want to get on this high ground, because then I can never ever get hit by anything from Alari ever, because she's got this angle. But I mean, your team dies, so there's nothing really you can do here. So you just want to be careful about spamming, because they've got a Hanzo. Hanzo's going to one-shot you, and... Okay, that was a good pull. Good pull. Alright, so I'm noticing this again. So you definitely do heal too much. Right now, look at your team's health. Everybody's chilling. You don't have to just top everybody off. When people are not in the threat of dying, you can do damage. And it's actually good for you to do damage. Because if you heal people who don't need it, you're effectively just wasting your time. And yeah, you could say like these people are missing 50 HP or so. So, alright. I'm okay with this, whatever. I would say the Cassidy's already getting healed by the Moira, so I probably just would have switched to damage already. But now you're doing like these little blips of like 20, 30 little tiny heals. I'd rather see you just doing damage on the D.Va. Especially because the Hanzo's dead, so you don't have to worry about getting one shot anymore. So you can be really aggressive and just start putting pressure on them. The pressure that you deal right now is going to be way more beneficial than the 20, 30 HP that you're going to heal on your allies. Okay, I'll mention this here. So I would like to see you using your pedal high ground a little bit more, because it kind of removes you from the fight and gives you a little bit better vantage point. So here, I maybe would have pedaled up here. So you can see a little bit. It kind of obscures you in the trees too. You'd get somewhere in this area. You could alternatively pedal over here, just somewhere in the back where you're going to be around cover. So notice I'm doing this around this wall, something that's going to give me some cover if I need it. But then also I have high ground, and I can use my pedal as high ground. So if I want to if I need some space, I can back up off of my pedal and use that so that they'd be shooting the bottom of my pedal instead of me. So it's like a little bit of an extra shield for you. So anytime you can use the pedal, I would use it. Also, I would say this tree was pretty early. Again, you just want to do it when they're a little bit lower HP. But overall, this was good.
Join me. 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Okay, this is literally the epitome of heal botting. You are charging a full heal when the round just started, and you could be spamming. Like, you're gonna get so much more value. The little bit of damage that you're gonna do, maybe you do 100, maybe 200 damage, but that damage is gonna increase your ult charge, and it's gonna put pressure on the enemy. What you're doing right now is effectively nothing, because nobody needs the heals. You're just sitting here preemptively healing when you could be doing damage and then heal when you actually need to. So you always want to be doing something productive, and this is not that. Sitting here with 80 heal is not that. You should be shooting. You healed him for 5 HP with the 80 charged heal. Like, you definitely could have just been shooting there.
Something for the stick.
Yep, so you could be spamming something right now. You don't have to be sitting here with an 80 charge heal. Good pull. Okay, I like that you're utilizing high ground and you're controlling cover there. That's really good. Pedal, pedal, pedal. This is really scary. Okay, this positioning sucks. So, look at where you are if someone peeks over this high ground. You have no cover. The nearest cover is over here. Or you'd have to like, yeah, I mean, you have to walk all the way over here. You are not around cover. The nearest cover is actually here. But this angle sucks. And there's a lot of reasons into this map of why a lot of lower ranked players play in this spot and then they just die. This is a really bad spot. Avoid this. So right now, I'd be trying to pedal up and then get back to where you were. This was good. You have cover here. You've got a Genji over here, but shoot him. Tickle him. Worst comes to worst, you can dash over here into your team. I wouldn't recommend it, but you've got options. You can drop down here and play in here. Worst case scenario, you could have moved into here. I don't like this spot though, because then you're really open to flanks and Genji's behind. But you definitely don't want to be just like sitting on point, asking people to shoot you. Okay, this pedal's good. Okay. So you did it. You just a little late. Okay, it was a good pull. This is all good. Okay, so I'm noticing a few things you're doing. You're just doing them a little bit late. So I wouldn't take what I'm saying too hard in those scenarios because you're coming to the right conclusions. You're just getting there slow. So that means that you know what you're supposed to do. It just, you need a little bit more time of doing it until it becomes instinctual. Like I have a few hours in the game. So I've seen a lot of these scenarios a lot of times and I just know instantly what I'm supposed to do. And you'll get there eventually. You just need to see it more. Are you just like looking for the flankers? Is that what's going on right now?
A little care always helps.
Okay. So if I'm looking for flankers, I'm going to pedal and I'm going to fight him. I'm not going to go chase him in here. This is stupid. You wouldn't want to do this because you are separated from your team. You want to stay connected with your team so your team can see you, but you want to challenge these guys. These guys are really out of position. And if you can try to force some type of cooldown before the fight starts, that means they're not going to have it during the fight, which is really good. So maybe the Genji's dash is on like a 3-second cooldown. When he wants to use it, that means you've delayed his initiative by 3 seconds if you're able to get something out here. So you want to pressure these guys. You just don't want to like full commit unless you think you can kill them. You can definitely be way more aggressive on these guys than you are right now. No, no, no. Get your thorns out. Get your thorns out. Attack someone.
Better? My ultimate is almost ready.
Surrender my will.
Okay, you were like just not participating in this fight. So this is what we call heal botting. This is actually the exact definition of it. So the problem with what you're doing is not that you're doing something bad, because what you're doing is you're healing your team, which is good. The problem is that you're only utilizing like maybe half to 2/3 of the value that you actually give to your team. If you are able to weave in damage with your heals, then your value skyrockets. This is why you see a lot of like high level grandmaster supports have like 8k heals and like 5k damage, and then everybody in like gold and plat has like 10k heals and like 1k damage. But if you think about that, they're sacrificing maybe 2,000 heals for 4,000 damage. So the value that they're getting is way better. And the value that they're getting with their damage is pressure on the enemy team. So the reason that their heal numbers are lower is not because they heal less. It's because they have to heal less because they're dead. The enemy's dead because they did damage. So they don't have to heal as much. So you're losing out on a lot of value to your team by positioning so passively that you're not able to contribute to the damage. So instead of being here, it would be way better to do something like this. Now, let me be clear. This fight sucks, and they should not be fighting in here because you're going to get spammed. And you're going to take a lot of damage here, and this is just not good. This just sucks. But there's nothing you can do about it. They're fighting here. So you have to participate. Maybe take this angle, spam a little bit, throw some heals, spam, thorns, you know, some damage, but you need to get more value than what you're doing here. Because I want you to look at this ever since you positioned on this high ground.
Better, my ultimate is almost ready.
So right here, you're sitting with a full charged 80. You're healing, which is good. Now what are you doing? Now what are you doing? Are you, like, you're not participating in the fight.
My willpower is unsustainable, prowess.
Your teammates won, but you effectively, for like the last 15 seconds, did absolutely nothing in that fight. You have to be closer and contribute value, do damage, do something. It's just that you're so disconnected from the fight and all you can offer is healing, which is the bad thing. And a lot of that fight, the people you were healing were the people that were in the backline who didn't need heals anyway. So that fight was effectively like a 4v5 and your team won. I like this. Do this more. This is great. I love this. It's a little bit worse because you have ultimate, and usually you want to do like pre-fight poking like this is purely for ultimate because you're not actually threatening to kill them, because there's no way as a Lifeweaver against that you're going to kill them. But the idea of doing it, awesome. I love that. Do that more. Yes. Okay, so now your positioning makes sense. This is good. Okay, you're definitely fumbling a little bit here. I think this is probably, this will just get faster over time. You saw a pulse bomb, and then your instinct was to tree. You see a pulse bomb, your instinct is to grab. It needs to be to grab, and you have to time your pull with the explosion of the pulse bomb, which you won't get at first, but you'll figure it out. Just make sure you don't insta pull them as soon as it happens and then blow you and them up. Just don't do that. So give it like a second or two and then pull them. But the tree doesn't actually do anything to help against the pulse bomb because it's burst damage. Thankfully your Zarya was on the ball. Good. Okay, you're low HP. You see the Genji coming? Dash away.
Life protects
I would have liked to have seen you use your dash. I thought you used your dash. You didn't. However, I just want to point back to the beginning of the video when I talked about tech. This sort of situation is why I like having my dash bound to a button instead of double jump. Because right now I see this, bam, one button, I'm dashed instead of jump and then dash. Because you got to 3 HP here. So like, you know, somebody sneezes on you and you die. So I just dash something, you tree. Again, you got from 3 HP to 140 HP off of your tree. This is why you want to do this mid-fight, so that you get that value of the burst damage, or the burst healing. Again, positioning, I wouldn't sit here. I would move into cover. As soon as you get down here, you don't want to stand in the middle of point. Okay. Alright, yeah, I don't really have any complaints about your healing, except the fact that you're doing it a little too much. And I want to be clear when I say that you're doing it too much. I'm not saying to not heal your team. Definitely heal your team. Just look for the opportunities in between healing your team where maybe this heal that I'm throwing out isn't getting as much value. Maybe I'm charging up an 80 heal and it's only healing for 15. In those scenarios, it would have been better to do damage. Okay, you definitely could have pulled that. I think you were just late. Okay, this is all fine. Pull. Nice. Okay, so again, you just healed a full HP Moira. Same type of thing. These scenarios, if they don't need the HP, do some damage. You might not kill people, but you'll do some, and you might help people kill people. Okay, so I would throw a petal. I would throw a petal for the Zarya here to like help her bob and weave. And then maybe she utilizes it, maybe she doesn't, maybe it helps her for a second, whatever. But I'd definitely be thinking about that. Well, she got diffed, sent off the map, so. Alright, but yeah, I mean, that fight was lost, so. Okay. Your tank is dead. Okay, yeah, regroup here. Just get out. Don't even worry about him. I'd grip her right now and get out together. Okay, this is good. No, 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 no. You're out. Nobody's there. You're good. Again, I just want to point out you are charging a heal when you have no allies in front of you. So clearly this is just like a default heal. So this is definitely like your main issue. This is what we need to get corrected. But also you just kind of like walked, you just got out and then you walked back in. And I mean, didn't even necessarily have to be a Rhine that was pinning here. There could have been nobody there and I still would have said no. Don't go back in there. You just got out. You want to regroup. Okay, so now you're late to this fight, which sucks. And then, yep. So this is just staggering 101. You need to get out, group up with your... Okay. So if you had not pushed out to here, I don't think this happens. So the reason you don't want to come out here is because that exposes you to the angles. And right now your tank's dead, so your primary objective is to regroup. And they just capped point, so there's they just capped / are capping point. Regardless, your tank is dead. So pressuring them here while you have ultimate doesn't actually do anything for you. Instead, it just like puts you in danger. So I just would have been backed up. And then if you're backed up, maybe you see this charge coming and you actually grip the Cassidy out of this charge. Okay. You want to avoid those. Probably didn't need to grip him there. I'd say he was still fine, but okay. For the most part, your grips have been pretty good, so I don't want to harp on those. That is an amazing tree. That was so good. Do you see the value of doing that mid-fight?
I'm really feeling the heat.
Look at what your tree does. It keeps your Zarya alive, it keeps your Moira alive, and your Cassidy just got a pick. So this fight is even right now. That's very big. Okay, so I understand why you got off the pedal, just because the pedal wasn't in the best spot. So again, I probably would have pedaled like over here, walked over here, done a pedal. That way you have a little bit more cover. That way you can use this big wall here. And if you're there, then maybe you don't have to drop off the pedal or feel like you need to. And then you can be above the fight and kind of away from everybody. I definitely would have prioritized the pull. So as soon as you see that pull, maybe you saw it too late, because yeah, I think you probably just saw it too late, which is fine. You won that team fight because of you, though. That was your tree. If you don't tree like that, then that's a lost fight. That was very good.
My ultimate is charging. Fall back.
So just because this has kind of been the main theme of this entire session of you just need to be a little bit more aggressive at times, find opportunities to be more aggressive. This is another opportunity where you could have been more aggressive. You just turned around. You can walk up with these guys. Throw some spam. They don't have any one-shot heroes anymore, so I'm not worried about that. So you could be up with that Zarya, up with that Cassidy, throwing some thorns, doing some damage. Be up here with them, put a little pressure on them, charge your ult a little bit more.
A little care always helps.
You just want to make sure when you're doing that you're not like completely out of position. So like, for example, this soldier's about to have visor. So you want to make sure you always have cover. You have an escape route planned. Always make sure you have an escape route planned when you're going for aggressive damage like that. But it's totally fine and it's totally good to go for those types of aggressive plays and to get damage. Be thinking about pulling. Yep. Okay. That was good. Yeah, your pulls are pretty good. Like for a gold player, your pulls are really good. This is good. Yeah. This is totally a time you can do damage. Okay, so I would have pulled the other one. So this is probably the first pull that I've seen that is probably wrong, which is saying a lot because we're 14 minutes into a VOD and you're a gold player. So A+ on the pulls, dude. Keep it up. But in this specific scenario, I would have prioritized the Zarya over the Cassidy. And I have two reasons for that. So the first one is that this Zarya is in more danger than the Cassidy. So when Shatter goes off, everybody in the back line cannot really see this Cassidy. So Cassidy's on top of the payload. So he has like, it's like a weird cover. It's like sort of cover, but not really. But everybody in the back line, some of them might shoot the Cassidy and he might die, which is totally accurate. But if they can kill a high charge Zarya right in front of them, that's what I'm shooting. If I'm the back line, I'm shooting that Zarya. I want the Zarya dead. So your Zarya's out of position and she's high charged, so that means she's a lethal threat, probably more lethal than Cassidy. And your Zarya almost has Grav. So if you can get a Grav off in this fight, that just wins. Probably. Unless something disastrous happens. But the odds of a high charge Zarya with Grav winning the fight, or a Cassidy 90% or 70% to ult winning the fight, I'm going to put my eggs in the Zarya's basket, personally. So for that reason, I would have pulled the Zarya here. Okay, early tree. Would have liked to have seen you wait a little bit longer.
My ultimate is almost ready.
You're also wildly out of position here. You're like out in the open. You're dancing around in this area. And this is what their backline sees. It's like all they see is a tree and you. Hey, you need to dip. All right. Well, this is just stalling. This is all. It is what it is. In situations like that, it's all just basically, it's a lottery of who gets ults, how mechanically good are you at killing people, and how long are the respawn timers. And may the odds ever be in your favor. Now, you have 4 minutes to get a quarter of a tick, so if I'm in comms with everybody, I'm just like, hey, let's charge up all of our ults and blow them all at once, and then there you go.
Group up. Something for the sting.
Okay, so I'm okay with you splitting up here, because again, Moira's also a main healer. She's taking care of the Doomfist. Also, it's better for you to be here than the Moira because you have high ground accessibility and the Moira doesn't really. She can if she's really good, but with some fade jumps. But I wouldn't recommend sending your gold Moiras this way. Okay, I'm okay with that grip. I think. Yeah, that was good. That was good.
The void is vulnerable. Let us take it.
Okay, yep. You can't heal anybody at the moment, so you switch to damage. That's good. I pull him. Nice.
We can protect each other now.
That was a little close for comfort, but it was the right idea. I still haven't seen you pedal up to the high ground at all and like try to contest that, which I would like to see. And I mean right here, just like pedal right here, get up here. If somebody peeks their head around this corner, throw some thorns at them, make them think about it, contest this space, because you don't want to give them this angle. If you give them this, that sucks for you. So you just want to be here to make sure that they're not doing that. You're contesting this space to try to deny it.
My ultimate is charged. Push forward. Push forward.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you don't want to dash. So dash is your oh crap button, and this is pretty universal among. I believe you said you play Moira too. You play Lifeweaver and Moira, so you have to treat dash like you do Moira's fade. So anytime that you use that ability, you are then extremely vulnerable for the next 5 to 6 seconds where you don't have it. Now, Moira's fade is a lot better than Lifeweaver's dash, but it's kind of the same idea of movement, get me out of here. And if you use that to reposition, then you need to make sure that wherever you reposition to, that you're not going to get attacked there. You repositioned aggressively into a fight towards enemies, which means that if they all of a sudden decide to look at you because you used one of your cooldowns, you're screwed. You didn't get punished for it, but you can get punished for it, which is the important thing.
Life protects life.
Okay, I'm fine with that tree just because you're cleaning up. This fight's won. Okay, so absolute number one priority. We need to get that heal botting out of you. So what I'm going to recommend is at the start of every fight, I want to see this for the next like 2 weeks. Every time you're in a fight, or every time before a fight, when people are just kind of like standing around, you don't know what to do, look for something like this. Some aggressive angle where you're poking at them. This was amazing. I loved this. I want you to do that every single fight. I don't care if you feed when you're doing this. I want you doing this every single fight. And what this is going to do is this is going to teach you when you can and can't do this. It's going to teach you how to play aggressively. And, okay, how aggressive is too aggressive? If you die, okay, you played a little too aggressive. So maybe you need to play a little bit more passive. Try to find a little bit more of a cheekier angle, like something like this. This is great. But I want you to be doing this before every single fight. And then I want you to look at your damage comparisons to how you usually do compared to how your damage stats are now. Now, stats are not everything, but they're an indicator. If a stat is too low, like if your damage is really low, then you just know, okay, you're not finding the opportunities to do damage where you could. The last thing I want you to work on for 2 weeks here, this fight. I don't ever want to see this ever. So when you are just sitting here doing nothing, super passively positioned. So what I want you to do for 2 weeks is, again, before every fight, you need to be aggressive, looking for poke angles, doing some damage. During the fight, I want you to be always at a point where you can see at least one enemy. Unless that enemy is a Widow or Hanzo. Only exceptions. If the enemy team is a Widow or Hanzo, it becomes a lot more complicated. And in that case, well, let's just... I don't want to force you into bad habits, so I don't want you still doing this. But play with your team more. Just don't be all the way out there. Just make sure that you can at least see one enemy, but try to avoid the Widow or the Hanzo. Like, just exclude the Widow or the Hanzo from that one enemy. But always make sure you can see at least one enemy for 2 weeks. And before every single fight for 2 weeks, I want you throwing out some poke damage. Eventually, once you get to a point where you're constantly able to see one enemy and you're throwing out those poke damage and it becomes a little bit more natural to you, I want you to take the next step and try to find some times where you can weave in a little bit of damage. So like here, when you're holding your heal, if you're able to charge a heal to 80, you probably just should have been doing damage, to be completely honest with you. So try to look back for those instances and say, okay, if I don't have to be healing right now, throw in some damage. And we can try to focus on that maybe on the next VOD. So that's kind of like your bonus homework, I guess. So the first two, damage before the fight, always seeing one enemy. Make sure you do that every single comp game for like 2 weeks. And then we can try to incorporate weaving in a little bit more damage.